They had everything: fame, fortune, and faces the world adored. But it wasn't enough. One by one, Hollywood's brightest stars started changing their appearance. A comedy icon's face became so stretched, it was hard to watch. A pop princess went under the knife 10 times in one day. The results were catastrophic. Some procedures went so wrong that careers never recovered. Others left stars looking like completely different people. The full story of how fame became a curse is more disturbing than you imagine. Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan used to be known for her soft smile and sweet face. In the 1980s and 1990s, she starred in romantic comedies that made people fall in love with her. She had something special back then. It wasn't just her looks. It was the way she carried herself, the warmth in her eyes, and how real she felt on screen. She became America's sweetheart during those years, and many still remember her that way. But over time, things changed. Roles started slipping away. Hollywood moved on, and Meg Ryan didn't get the same chances she once had. At some point, she made a decision. She changed her appearance. It was more than just a little work. Her whole face began to look different. People started talking. One of the biggest changes was in her cheeks. They looked puffed up, like they had been filled too much. When she smiled, the fullness pushed up toward her eyes, making them look smaller. It didn't look natural anymore. Some even said her face looked more masculine, just because of how the cheek volume was placed. Her forehead looked frozen, too. The skin didn't move much, and it seemed like there had been too many treatments to smooth out the wrinkles. But instead of helping, it made her brows drop slightly, which once again made her eyes look less open. It was hard to ignore how her whole face had shifted. People guessed there might have been several facelifts over the years, because her face shape wasn't the same at all. Fans who grew up watching her missed the way she used to look. There was something innocent and kind about her in the 80s and 90s. That's the image people held on to. And now, when they see her, there's a sense of loss, not just for the face that changed, but for the feeling that came with it. That old spark, that effortless charm, many feel it's gone. The conversation around her has been full of opinions. Some feel sad. Others are angry at how the industry pressures women to stay young forever. But no matter what side people are on, one thing is clear. The girl from When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle will always be remembered. The face might have changed, but the memories haven't. Lara Flynn Boyle. Lara Flynn Boyle once had the kind of beauty that stopped people in their tracks. She wasn't just another actress. There was something about her presence. Something timeless. When she played Donna Hayward in Twin Peaks back in 1990, people couldn't look away. She had this soft voice, sharp eyes, and a mysterious glow that made her unforgettable. Hollywood noticed her right away. More roles followed, and by 1997, she was a star on The Practice, a legal drama that made her a household name. That show ran until 2004. And during those years, Lara became one of the most talked about actresses on television. But after the spotlight began to fade, something else started to happen. Instead of seeing her in new films or shows, people began seeing her in tabloid photos, not for her work, but for her face. Over time, her look began to change, slowly at first, then drastically. Her once familiar face became harder and harder to recognize. People whispered that she'd had plastic surgery. At first it was just talk, but then the changes became undeniable. Her cheeks looked fuller. Her lips had a swollen shape that didn't match the way she used to look. Her eyes, her brows, even the shape of her nose seemed different. It was as if the woman who once played Donna had vanished. What remained was someone else entirely. Someone trying to hold on to youth in a town that punishes women for aging. It wasn't just one procedure. People began to suspect she had rhinoplasty, lip injections, dermal fillers, anti-wrinkle treatments, maybe even a brow lift or a full facelift. And the more that was done, the more her natural beauty slipped away. Her fans started to say she looked like a completely different person. Not older, not younger, just changed, not in a good way. Her face looked tight and her skin didn't move the way it used to. There was something almost frozen about her smile. Online, people compared her to the classic Real Housewife look, that overly polished style that tries so hard to be perfect, it ends up feeling artificial. The saddest part is that none of it was necessary. Lara Flynn Boyle was beautiful the way she was. If she had left things alone, she would have aged with grace. She didn't need the extra fillers. She didn't need the procedures that left her face swollen and stretched. But the pressure in Hollywood is cruel, especially for women who were once known for their looks. The spotlight can make people feel like they have to fight time. And in trying to stay young, Lara lost the very face people had once fallen in love with. Reid. Tara Reid was once one of the most talked about young stars in Hollywood. After her role in American Pie, she became a household name. But before that, she had already started building her career with The Big Lebowski in 1998, which gave her an early boost in fame. By the early 2000s, it looked like Tara was on the path to becoming a long-term star. She had the look, the charm, and the momentum. But then everything started to fall apart. In 2007, during a red carpet event, something happened that would change how people saw her forever. A wardrobe malfunction exposed her chest to the cameras. The photos spread across the internet in minutes. People weren't just shocked, they were cruel. Strangers picked apart every detail of her body. Some even called her the woman with the ugliest breasts in the world. It was brutal. Later, Tara admitted that she had gone through breast augmentation because she was self-conscious. Her breasts were uneven, and she simply wanted to fix them, but the surgery didn't go well. The results were far from what she expected. Instead of feeling better, she was left feeling worse. Her chest looked unnatural, and to make things even more difficult, the liposuction she had done on her stomach left ripples in her skin. Her body had been changed in ways she couldn't hide, and the camera caught everything. Tara tried to fix the damage. She went back under the knife to correct the earlier mistakes. This time, she chose a procedure called donut mastopexy. It was meant to help with the shape and lift of her breasts, while also dealing with some of the earlier issues. But the truth is, no surgery could undo what had already been done. The damage wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It affected how people saw her. More importantly, it affected how she saw herself. After that, Tara made a decision. She said she would never get another cosmetic procedure unless it was absolutely necessary. She had learned the hard way how quickly beauty could turn into pain in Hollywood. She had chased perfection and ended up in a nightmare. Even so, she never completely disappeared. Despite all the harsh headlines and jokes at her expense, Tara kept moving forward. She returned to acting and even appeared in some films that found success with loyal fans. It wasn't the same as her early years of fame, but it was a kind of comeback. She didn't have to be perfect anymore. She just had to keep going. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke came into Hollywood in the early 1980s with a look and attitude that made people stop and stare. In 1981, he got attention in Body Heat, and it didn't take long for people to compare him to legends like James Dean and Robert De Niro. By the mid-80s, he was one of the most exciting actors around, known for his wild charm and raw talent. His face had that classic bad boy edge that directors loved. He looked like trouble, and that worked for him. But as the years passed, things began to shift. He took a break from acting to go back into boxing, something he had done before. That decision would change everything. He suffered several injuries to his face during his fights. Later, when he tried to fix the damage with surgery, it didn't go well. He admitted in 2009 that most of the changes to his face were due to botched plastic surgeries. He said he went to the wrong guy to fix his face, and the results were almost unrecognizable. People noticed the once iconic face that made him famous was now full of odd shapes. His cheekbones and chin looked unnatural, and it didn't help that he kept trying new procedures. Even when he returned to acting with powerful performances in Sin City in 2005 and The Wrestler in 2008, it was his changed face that got most of the attention. He had the talent, the awards, and even a comeback story, but his looks had become the main topic. In recent years, Mickey's appearance has become more and more unusual. His style, hair, and anti-aging treatments have made him look almost like a different person. People still talk about what could have been if he never stepped back into the boxing ring or never touched surgery. In the 1990s, his name started to fade, and by the time he came back, He wasn't the Mickey Rourke that Hollywood once knew. He was someone else trying to hold on to what was lost. Courteney Cox became famous all over the world in the 1990s as Monica on Friends. Her beauty, her energy, and her smile made her one of the most beloved TV stars of the decade. She had been a model before acting, and it showed. Her role in Scream in 1996 proved she could make the leap into movies. Then she made another big move in 2009 with the show Cougar Town, which ran until 2015. But along the way, her appearance started to change. As the years passed, fans began to notice that her face didn't look the same. The soft, natural beauty she had during Friends began to fade under fillers, Botox, and possibly even a mini facelift. Her cheeks and lips looked puffy, and her skin became tighter. Some said she looked more like a Hollywood socialite than the charming girl next door everyone remembered. Courteney herself admitted that she had gone too far. She said she kept chasing youth, hoping to stay young forever, but eventually, she realized that she didn't like what she saw. She made the brave decision to dissolve her fillers and return to a more natural look. Even though she took that step, some of the damage had already been done. The traces of those past surgeries didn't completely go away. Today, Courteney still works, still acts, and still smiles. But the mark left by her journey through Hollywood's beauty pressures is clear. Lil Kim. Lil Kim was born in 1974, and her real name is Kimberly Denise Jones. She didn't just enter hip-hop quietly. She exploded onto the scene in the mid-1990s when she joined Junior MAFIA, a group put together by the Notorious B.I.G. Her presence was powerful. Her voice was fierce, and her lyrics didn't hold back. When she dropped her first solo album, Hardcore, in 1996, it shocked the world. It was bold, raw, and full of confidence. That album made her a solo star. People couldn't stop watching her. But it wasn't just her music that made headlines. Lil Kim's wild fashion and fearless looks turned her into a pop culture icon. Bright wigs, daring outfits, red carpets. She owned them. So many young artists tried to copy her. She wasn't just a rapper, she was a symbol of boldness. Then, something changed. Years later, when she showed up on MTV, people didn't recognize her. Her face looked different, much different. Fans who once cheered her on stage began whispering about her surgeries, lip changes, cheek changes, eye changes. People didn't know what to say. It was shocking. The same woman who once had complete command of the stage in films like Notorious now had fans talking more about her face than her music. Carrot Top was born Scott Thompson, and everybody knew him for his wild, fiery red hair and loud, unpredictable comedy. He made fun of himself constantly, and people loved it. In 1998, he starred in the movie Chairman of the Board. His strange looks, wild energy, and wacky props made him unforgettable. But after disappearing for a while, he came back looking completely different. People didn't recognize him. His face looked stretched, his cheeks puffed, and his eyebrows raised in a way that just didn't seem real. Fans started asking what happened. Rumors spread everywhere. Did he get plastic surgery? Did he go too far? Carrot Top said it was just his strict gym routine. He claimed he didn't go under the knife. But for many, it was hard to believe. His new appearance was so different that even the jokes couldn't hide it. People stared. They didn't see the funny guy from the 90s anymore. They saw someone trying too hard to hold on to an old spotlight. He once stood out because of his strange but lovable look. Now, his new face left people confused. That's what hurt the most. The laughs were still there, but they weren't the same. Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace never planned to be the face of one of the world's most famous fashion houses. But everything changed in 1997. Her brother, Gianni Versace, was murdered in Miami that year. After his death, Donatella stepped in. She didn't just keep the Versace name alive, she transformed it. She added her bold, dramatic touch and made it even more glamorous. By the early 2000s, she was known not just as Gianni's sister, but as a fashion icon in her own right. But along with her growing fame, something else started changing. Her face. If you look at pictures of her from 1993, it's almost like you're looking at a completely different person. Over the years, Donatella began trying out more and more cosmetic procedures. At first, it was just small things, maybe a little filler here, a wrinkle treatment there, but eventually it became too much. People started to notice. Her lips grew larger and lost their natural shape. Her skin turned so shiny, it looked like plastic in the photos, which experts say is a sign of overdoing anti-wrinkle treatments. Instead of slowing down, she kept going. She went through laser skin resurfacing treatments that only made her face more swollen and tight. Her cheeks became too puffy, and deep lines started appearing between her mouth and nose, which usually means there's too much filler under the skin. Her top lip no longer had any real shape. It looked overdone and swollen, like the injections never had time to settle before she went in for another round. People who followed her career were shocked. The woman who once stood with elegance and power on fashion's biggest stages now looked like a version of herself that had been stretched and pulled too far. Some reporters even said Donatella treated plastic surgery like fashion accessories, something she could change as easily as a pair of shoes or a new handbag. And maybe that's exactly how she saw it. For someone who spent her life creating beauty, maybe chasing it became part of her identity. But over time, it got harder and harder to recognize the real Donatella behind all the changes. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was once the most famous man on earth. People called him the King of Pop, and his music changed the world. But behind the fame, Michael was battling something deeper. All through the 1970s, he kept his natural face, his dark skin, and his beautiful smile. But when the 1980s came, everything began to change. The world started paying more attention to how he looked than what he sang. Rumors, headlines, and racist jokes followed him everywhere. In 1984, he suffered a serious accident while filming a Pepsi commercial. His hair caught fire, and he ended up in the hospital with burns. Not long after that, he began getting plastic surgeries. He said the first rhinoplasty helped him breathe better, but over the years, the changes became more extreme. His nose got smaller and smaller, his chin shape changed, his cheeks looked sharper, his eyelids looked different, and slowly, his skin color began to lighten too. Some people said he was trying to look white. Others said he had a skin condition called vitiligo. Michael said it was both. The public never stopped watching, judging, and guessing. The pressure only grew worse as the years went on. By the early 1990s, his appearance had become almost unrecognizable. His voice stayed soft. His eyes stayed kind. But the boy who once danced with a big afro in the Jackson 5 looked nothing like the man who stood on stage during the History Tour in 1997. Despite all the comments and all the mockery, Michael kept performing. His music broke records. His concerts sold out around the globe. But the surgeries and skin treatments left a mark that never faded. Some say it ruined his legacy. Others say it made him more human. Amanda Lepore. Amanda Lepore's story is very different, but just as unforgettable. She was born a boy in New Jersey in 1967. By the time she was 15, Amanda already knew she wanted to change her body. The kids at school bullied her. They laughed at how she looked and called her names. But Amanda didn't want to look like them. She wanted to look like Marilyn Monroe. Her journey into womanhood started early. She began hormone treatments and had her first surgery when she was still a teenager. Over the years, she went further than almost anyone. She had multiple breast surgeries. She added implants to her hips and butt. She even had part of her ribs removed to make her waist look tiny. Her face was also reshaped through dozens of procedures. Her lips were made bigger. Her nose was made smaller. Her skin was tightened again and again. Amanda never hid any of it. She said her body was her artwork. She said her surgeries were her life's work. She made a career out of her looks, performing burlesque shows in Manhattan, modeling in fashion magazines, singing, and hosting parties. She didn't want to be ordinary. She wanted to be remembered. And she is. People started calling her the most expensive body in the world because she had changed nearly every part of herself that could be changed. Amanda said she was proud of what she became. She didn't want to look natural. She wanted to look like a fantasy. To her, it wasn't about fitting in. It was about standing out. Just like Michael, her appearance became part of her identity. Not just how people saw her, but how she saw herself. Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers was more than just a country singer. He had one of those deep, comforting voices that could make you stop and listen no matter where you were. In the 1970s, he became famous not only for his songs like The Gambler, but also for his strong, rugged looks. People loved the way he carried himself, that blend of charm and quiet strength that made him feel familiar even to strangers. By the 1990s, Kenny had already become a legend. He wasn't just making music anymore. He was also building his own restaurant chain, Kenny Rogers Roasters, which became wildly popular. Everything seemed to be going well, but in the years that followed, something changed. Like many stars in Hollywood, Kenny wanted to keep looking young. He had some cosmetic surgery done, hoping to hold on to that same appearance people had always loved. He didn't hide it. He spoke openly in later interviews about the regret he felt afterward. The surgeries, especially the eyelid and brow lifts, had altered his face so much that even his fans were shocked. It didn't look like him anymore. His masculine charm that once defined his image seemed to have vanished. Experts later said his brows were lifted too high, giving his face an unnatural angle. Doctors believed the problem came from the surgeon's personal style rather than Kenny's wishes. What was meant to be a small touch-up ended up changing how millions remembered him. And it hurt Kenny deeply, especially knowing that what made him look like himself was now gone. Heidi Montag had a very different kind of rise. In 2006, she became a star through the reality TV show The Hills. Her blonde hair, blue eyes, and confident smile made her one of the most talked about people on television. She wasn't just famous, she was everywhere. By 2010, though, she made a choice that would change everything. She went through not just one or two, but at least 10 cosmetic procedures in a single day. The list was long. A mini brow lift, a nose job, liposuction in several places, breast augmentation, even surgery to change the shape of her ears. It was all done at once. Heidi later said she didn't plan for it to go that far. At first, it was supposed to be just a few small changes, but something about fame made her feel like she had to keep going. When it was over, the pain was real. She spoke about how much it hurt physically and emotionally. Even though she claimed the surgeries worked, she also admitted that it all became too much. What was meant to boost her confidence ended up making her question everything. By the time she recovered, she didn't just look different, she felt different too. And the public had a hard time seeing her the same way again. Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers always had a sharp tongue and a love for transformation. She didn't just talk about beauty standards, she chased them. Over the years, she had many plastic surgeries, and she never hid it. In fact, she joked about it on stage, but behind those jokes was real pain. In 2010, when she was 77 years old, Joan shocked everyone by saying she had 10 procedures done in just one day. It wasn't just a little touch-up. She went through a chin reduction, a brow lift, injections to smooth out wrinkles, and even more. She believed in changing what you didn't like, but it came with a price. As time went on, the recovery from those surgeries became harder. She once admitted that her heart even stopped for a moment during one of the procedures. That moment shook her. After that, she became more open about the risks and how scary it could be. She wanted people to know that plastic surgery wasn't something to take lightly. It could be life-changing, not always in a good way. But Joan kept going, always on camera, always laughing, even when it hurt. And through it all, she kept saying what many were afraid to say out loud. Her journey became a warning, but also a story of someone who was never afraid to face the mirror, no matter what it showed. Jennifer Grey. Jennifer Grey had a different kind of beauty. In 1987, she became a star almost overnight. Everyone knew her as Baby from Dirty Dancing. The movie became a huge hit, and girls all over the world wanted to be just like her. But fame can be a strange thing. Even with that success, Jennifer felt stuck. People only saw her as one role. She wanted to grow, to take on new characters, but the industry kept seeing Baby and nothing else. Then came the moment that changed everything. Jennifer decided to get a nose job. It was supposed to be a small change just to help her look a little different. But something went wrong. The surgery removed the small bump on her nose that had made her face so unique. After that, even her close friends didn't recognize her. It was like the world had forgotten who she was. The nose job didn't just change her appearance, it almost erased her identity. She later said it was like going into surgery famous and coming out a stranger. Still, she didn't give up. In 2010, she joined Dancing with the Stars, and she won. The audience loved her again. She danced with heart, with pain, and with courage. Even though Hollywood had turned away for a while, her fans never left. They saw the same spirit, the same fight, just in a slightly different face.